If I could change the world, Eric Clapton made a song called that back in 1996. And I wish he could, and I wish I could. The other day I was speaking with a woman, a local girl here in her 40s, that's been traveling a lot. And some of the stuff we talked about, if everybody got to travel a lot or like for one full year, the world would be a completely different place. I know not everybody has the opportunity to go travel and be open-minded. Today, however, it's a little bit different because we have the internet. So we're actually able to travel without traveling because we can be anywhere in the world we want to be within seconds. I also talked about that before, that the culture around the world is dying because we're all slowly becoming the same, but we're still far, far away from being that. I actually been wanting to do this video for quite a while. I had it like in my mind about how we get people together on this planet. And this morning I've been watching what is going on in the USA, and I see a guy doing something on a stage in front of people on TV that you will be arrested to do in Germany. That is the opposite of changing the world to the better. So this video is more relevant, I feel like, ever before in my lifetime, at least in my adulthood. It's way out of my, I can't understand that if you have that much power, is the wrong word for it, but if you have that much influence, why not use all of that influence to make the world a better place instead of trying to do the opposite? That is crazy. I've been very, very lucky from an extremely young age, my 21 or something like that, to be able to work with people from all around the world. And I also said this before, and this is not an endorsement for starting smoking, you should not do that. But I was extremely happy that I did smoke back then, because that meant every now and then I will have a person from somewhere in the world, one-on-one, talking while having a cigarette together. And when you do that, have this one-on-one, you quickly figure out that everybody is the same. That whatever attitude people bring on is something they do in a group. When you have them one-on-one, we're all the same. Then there can be different level of all the same. I know that. Like, some people only think about themselves, and I also tried that on a one-on-one situation. But way more people are thinking about themselves in a group situation. And that is, of course, because they are afraid. Same thing with people not smiling to each other, saying hi on the street. It's also because people are afraid. And it's a subconscious thing. Start to look up and smile to people. That will change your mood, that will change you, and open up for everything. So that conversation I had with that woman that's a traveler also, baseline of all that was, when you travel, you find out again that we are all the same. And I mean traveling outside touristy places, because in touristy places, the place is like adapted to the majority of tourists. So if everybody comes from Germany, it's kind of like a small Germany. Same, if everybody is from Denmark, it will be kind of a little bit adapted to Denmark. You have to go outside and actually meet the real people. You will figure out we all have the same struggles. We all have the same things we love. We all eat. We all shit. And I also said this before. In my book, there are two types of people in the world. The one that care about others, friendly to others, and that is like in every situation in the daytime or nighttime for that matter. And then there are the ones that care about themselves, nobody else. And that's the only difference there are. So there are people that are awake, know about the surroundings, know that they have to work on themselves every single day to get better as a human towards other, and in that sense get better spiritually and get better towards yourself. And then there's the one that only have their own little bubble they're in. Luckily, a lot of people, and that's also what their like spiritual journey will be. When they get older, they start to realize, oh, I'm not the only person in the world. Oh, I've been an idiot all my life. Let me try to change it. So luckily, I've been in a position all my life that I've always been open to everybody around the world. I only care about one thing. It's people, like a nice human. It's people, what is it called? Friendly and open. And I would say traveling around for this long makes that whole country thing completely stupid. And I talked a little bit about that whole thing about some passports are good. I'm very lucky that my passport is very good for traveling around. But my friends in Thailand, they're exactly like me. They just have a Thai passport. Has a way more limited range of country that they can freely go to. And that is not because who they are, but where they're from. And coming into some countries, you feel like you're not welcome. They say people that go to space, especially the ones that are there for longer, that they change a lot when they come back. Because from up there you can see it's just one big ball. And this whole dividing the planet into different zones, and you can go here and you cannot go here, it's all man-made, and it doesn't make sense. Because in theory, we can go. Everybody should be able to go everywhere because we are all on this planet together, right? So could you imagine a world where there was only one government, only one country? How peaceful the world would be if everybody could talk to everybody, figuring out what I've been so lucky to figuring out the last, what is that? Almost 20 years. That no matter where you're from, you eat food, you go to the toilet. Sometimes I get the question from people, how do you figure out about the trains, the metro, or the buses in a country? And I was like, there's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to figure out because it works exactly the same everywhere else on the planet. I haven't been to any of the countries yet where not more or less is the same thing. You book a ticket online, or you go to a counter and ask for a ticket, or ask for a direction. I have to go there. Can I buy a ticket for that? And you get it, and they will say when the bus leaves. Which also means that this whole planet is completely, everything is the same. Like the border is just, what's the... Was that a bird saying that sound? I don't know if you could hear that. Even the birds are agreeing with me. So in theory, changing the world to the better is super easy. Get everybody access to everything. Make healthcare free everywhere in the world. Let people travel everywhere in the world. It would be such a different planet. Like, I spoke with people from the US, my age, that never had a passport. Never had a passport. And it's like, and I can't believe it. You never had a passport. You never wanted to go anywhere. I was taking an Uber in New York once, and I spoke with a guy, and he asked me where I'm from. And the usual thing is, oh, I heard that that country is the happiest in the world. Different discussion. And I told him about the free healthcare, and he couldn't understand it. And he asked me, if you break your arm, what are you doing? I said, you go to the hospital, they will fix it, and you leave. And then he was like, and how much do you pay for that? I said, nothing. They don't pay anything for it. They fix it. That's it. And you leave. And he couldn't understand that that was possible. And then I asked him where in the world he has been. And he said, why would I go anywhere? And I asked him, like, you don't want to see anything else? And then he said, everything I need is right here. And then we talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. He had Puerto Rican roots, so he was thinking about going there because he wanted a longer summer. And I said, have you ever been there? No, I haven't been out of the city. And I looked at him and said, you haven't been out of New York City? Yeah, no. And the guy has probably been in his 30s or something like that. He said, you never been outside New York City, not even outside the city, in the same state? No, he only been in New York City for over 30 years, not leaving. I hope that he left the country to go travel. You need to go, if it's possible for you, you need to go and see the world. Or just the neighbor country. Oh, the neighbor country is most likely quite similar to the one you have. So that wouldn't make sense. I also know that Europeans are in general very well traveled within Europe. And in Europe, if you go from the north of Europe to the south of Europe, stuff looks completely different. The weather is different. It's a completely different language from country to country. So in that sense, it's way more open-minded than the States would be. And I remember talking to a guy that was touring, but I guess he never left the tour bus or something like that. It was a guy from the US, probably mid-40s, and he was like, yeah, here, like if you just travel for 500 kilometers, like everything is completely different. They speak a completely different language and all that. Like, and then he said, in my country, when we go from one part of the country to the other part of the country, it's different, but it's not that dramatic that it is here. And then it's like, but Europe is not a country. Like it's completely different because you go to a different country. Or completely different, you know what I mean? The language is different because you are in a different country. And I don't really think that he realized that traveling around, like in Europe, you actually go into different countries. And this is 10, 15 years ago, where the world was not as open as it is today, but still. And this is not to blame people from the US at all. There is just a huge amount of people from the US that haven't traveled, and there's a huge amount of people from the US that should travel. The election and what is going on right now is a proof of that. We need to open up the world, not closing it. Something So I haven't been living in Denmark for quite a while, and I'm not planning on going back. But something I was super happy about, and especially with my passport right now, is right before the UK started voting to stay in EU or not, there was this more and more, people were more and more on, should we leave EU? Because some parties was all obsessed about, oh, we have to, it's Denmark, and people were saying, yeah, but they are choosing the rules in our country. And like even people I consider relatively intelligent, I remember speaking to a guy, and he was like, yeah, and they are choosing, they are not choosing, we are choosing. And I looked at him and said, if you're gonna carry timber over a lake, you want to do it alone, or you want to find as many people as you can to help you out with that? And he said, I want to find as many people as I can to help me out with that. And then I looked at him, why do you want to leave the EU then? And he was like, I haven't thought about this. No. And you need to think about that before you vote for anything. Of course, the lesser people or the lesser country you have to lift something, the more difficult stuff is gonna get. That is simple teamwork. And I also said to this guy and to many other people in that period of time, because I was actually nervous that Denmark would have had that Brexit thing. And it would have happened if it wouldn't have been such a disaster for the UK. Of course it's a disaster, because what I just said, you need to be more people to lift it. I looked at them and said, if everything there's in your house is made and produced in Denmark, you can go and vote, let's leave. If everything you eat is grown in Denmark, you can go and vote, leave. People will be like, oh, yeah, that's right. We are living in an international environment or society. And I think all of the people I spoke with back then changed their mind about the EU. That all of that happened, luckily for Denmark, and luckily for me, because I still have this red passport, which is very magical around the world, especially in the EU. I can stay everywhere I want in the EU as long as I want. It all happened for the people in the UK. Horrible for the country, horrible for the people. Especially also if you want to travel around Europe, all of a sudden you could go how long you wanted to go, and now it's only 90 days. And I know 90 days is kind of a lot of time of travel for a lot of people, but still you're limiting yourself, you're limiting your country, and you're limiting the strength of everything. And I guess that's the moral of the whole story. The more you know everybody is exactly like you, because we all humans, we are all the same. There are good people and there are bad people. That's it. At least my opinion. That's it. And if everybody would help people or mind their own business, the place would be a way better place. The planet would be a way better place to be at. And then the more hands you have to carry the timber over the lake, the stronger and better the human race will be. So if every country in the world was carrying the timber over, there would be no wars. Or if there was no countries at all, which would be ideal, there will be no wars. I know all of this is just a theoretical thing. It is possible that that would happen one day, but as the world is right now, it's very unlikely that that would happen. But it will be like a dream scenario, because everybody is the same. And this topic is very long. And the funny thing is, The solution is super simple on paper, and it's nearby impossible with how the world looks right now. Do yourself a favor, if you can, go travel to places that you have no clue about what is. And if you can't, go travel online, because you will learn so much about everybody else right there also. And we came a long way for the average people to know about all that. We will get back to this topic at some point, and I also want to talk to other people about this topic on camera. Thank you for watching this, and then let's just pray and have faith in humanity that everything's gonna turn out fine. And in the end, we will all die anyway. So, but that's how life is. Okay. See you in the next one, where we're gonna visit Reground. This is all about sustainability. I'm super excited about it. It's actually tomorrow for me. That's gonna be very interesting to watch. See you in the next one. I talked that long that my coffee is almost cold now.